Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you very much. It's really great to be part of this day here. My name is Cas Boland. I'm the head of marketing of the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. How many people of you have visited the museum before? Quite. We attract around 2.3 million visitors, and 85% is international visitors. We attract about 100 visitors, 100 nationalities a day. So and it's great that you've all visited our museum and are very welcome, of course, to come to Amsterdam anytime soon. Just want to talk a little bit about inspiration. I think art is all about inspiration. Art is not so much about those nice paintings back in the days. It's all about what we do now with it. I think we can all agree that being inspired by art is the main purpose of why we are focusing on art, why we are collecting art. And so that's why I think today is a really nice day to look at different opportunities to deal with art and to be inspired by art. So this is being inspired, of course. Let me just see if I can do this a little bit more like this. He's inspired as well. This is a DJ being inspired by Armin van Buuren, by Van Gogh as well. This is a famous Chinese painter inspired by Van Gogh. Have you visited this as well in the Netherlands when you were here? Otherwise, you really should visit this as well. This is also inspiration. And this is a really nice movie. If you haven't watched this one, go check it out. It's made out of 65,000 painted frames. So it's the first real painted animated movie of 90 minutes long. Also about Van Gogh, of course. I'm only going to speak about Van Gogh, I'm sorry. So yeah, so this is our museum in Amsterdam. Actually, it's quite simple what we do. We focus on the inspiration that Van Gogh, his paintings and his life. We also have his letters to his brother, so we know really much about his life. So we're really focusing on the inspiration he gives to people. And we try to influence or to reach as many people around the world as possible with this great inspiration he brings. By the way, if you have any questions, just ask later on. Also now, do interruptions, whatever you want. You're welcome. So we focus on Van Gogh, of course, in our museum. We have reached now 2.3 million visitors. From April until September, we're sort of fully booked. We sell tickets every 15 minutes, so we sell timed tickets, only booked online, and we can say we focus on how many people can go in and have a good experience, and we see that we have reached the maximum, actually. So we say, okay, local is it's very nice what we're doing now, but we really have to focus on being more global and, of course, being more digital. So that's why I'm really excited to be here, of course. Lots of different opportunities, I think, to reach out to people who cannot come to Amsterdam physically, or and how can we reach out? So one of the things we did is making this traveling exhibition. We only have a collection of about 200 paintings, so that's really small. They cannot travel that much. So this is one of the things we did. This went to Beijing the other year. It will go to Barcelona and to other places around the world. Let me just show this.
I've painted wheat fields under turbulent skies. Perspective. memory of everything we have loved. Do not accuse anybody. It is I who wish to die.
You will remember me.
I want to reach the point where people say, that man feels deeply.
So yeah, that's one of the examples we do to go out of Amsterdam. Another thing we do is focus more on a digital way to reach out. This is a project we did with, there are 5 sunflowers around the world. We own one, the other one is a national gallery, etc. So we combined these 5 paintings in a virtual tour, virtual 360 way on Facebook. We also invited our directors to do a Facebook live stream. And just, I mean, it's not that new or innovative, but it had a reach of, we had I think, put 2,000 euros in it as a budget, and we had a reach of 50 million viewers. So that's really inspiring for me to see how big things can go around the globe. Let me show you this as well.
Welcome to the Vincent van Gogh Virtual Sunflowers 360 Degrees Gallery. My name is Vincent Willem van Gogh. I'm the great-grandson of Theo van Gogh, Vincent's brother and his soulmate. I am proud to introduce you to this very special virtual gallery.
Hello, I'm Gabriele Finaldi, the director of the National Gallery. Welcome to Trafalgar Square. About 6 million people come to our museum every year, and most of those will stop in front of this picture.
Welcome from the Van Gogh Museum.
The National Gallery in London.
Neue Pinakothek in Munich.
Philadelphia Museum of Art.
Sampo Japan Nippon Museum of Art.
We're traveling around the world with a remarkable work of art.
Extraordinary Facebook Live experiment, which over the next hour or so will take us literally around the world.
So I think there are lots of different ways. We have lots of more examples. Maybe I can send them over later, but we don't have the time now. But lots of different ways to also use digital techniques to just have a better service to people. One thing we just finished is using customer data to make this small welcoming video for a tailor-made video for the customer. So if you bought your ticket online at the Van Gogh Museum, you get this email with your personal video. We know your language, so it's in 11 different languages. We know your name. We know the date that you're going to visit. We know which exhibition is on that day. We know the temperature of outside. We know lots of things, and all this combined is rendered, and is automatically rendered in one movie and sent out to you just before your visit. So I'm sorry, this one is in Dutch, so you cannot read what's going on over here, but it shows you a little bit about how you can use customer data to improve your experience. So that's my name because I bought the ticket. This says you have direct access. You're very welcome. It shows you a little bit the way in our museum. It shows what temperature is going on the day that I'm gonna visit. It says how far my country is from Arles. No pictures allowed. Upsell for our audio tour, if you haven't bought it. Temporary exhibition. So yeah, and then to conclude, inspiration isn't a big thing actually, and being inspired and being. If people talk about innovation, I think it's always easy to make it a really big thing. But I think people like you are looking at art from a different perspective, bring innovation. It's always people from different business groups or different markets or with different perspective who bring innovation. And of course, I think Van Gogh was, well, a really big example of this. I mean, he was sort of a genius in his time, but he was just inspired, actually. He was really inspired, for example, by Japanese art, which came into Paris when he was there at the end of the 1800s. And this movie is now shown in our exhibition right now in Amsterdam, which focuses on the influence of Japanese art on Van Gogh. And I'm going to show you this as well. There's no sound in this one because it's normally... So yeah, that's the main thing I wanted to tell you. Just look at things from a different perspective. You've been doing that all day probably, but keep on doing this and being inspired. That's the message I want to give to you. Ask me questions now. Ask me questions later. I'm all day here. So thank you very much for your attention.